beauty standard, to be or not to be? That is the question. So, my question for you is, who set the standard of beauty for you? Was it your mother? Was it your grandmother, your aunt, or maybe even your friends? Thank you for coming in tonight. I am Tiffany.1, and I am a certified life coach, wardrobe stylist, and I style leaders and influencers in fearless fashions. And tonight you're in for a treat because I want to talk about something that every woman has thought about, maybe even wrestled about in regards to beauty. And who set the standard? And who says we have to live by it anyway? So we're going to get into this topic and discuss this segment a little bit further. So come on in tonight. Come on in, and you already know what to do. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and click the like, subscribe, and share it with your sister friends. Because, as I always say, don't keep all of this yummy goodness to yourself. So, all right, let's get into this. So when we talk about beauty standards, all we have to do is look around in today's culture and see what is the model, what is an image that we constantly see before us, whether we're scrolling through social media, whether it's in magazines, or wherever the case may be. If you're out and about in the mall, in the store, there is a standard of beauty that culture puts before us that sets the standard. And sometimes we can walk around feeling like, well, I don't look like her. I don't look like that. I don't wear my hair like this. My skin tone is not this. My body shape is not that. So I must not be beautiful. Wrong. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So, in regards to beauty and who set the standard, the mode of where we must go back and travel back to is the time when we were all little girls, right? When we talk about who set the standard of beauty, which is why I asked, who set the standard of beauty for you? Was it your mother? Was it your aunt? Was it your grandmother? Or maybe you had to just look around and your girlfriends talked about beauty. And so, what we don't give attention to is where it all started from. What was our mother's self esteem like? What was her beauty regimen like? What did she think about herself? Because if her confidence was not high, she would pass that on to you because, again, that was all she knew. So, in regards to beauty, some of us as women, and we're full fledged women, may have not heard that we were beautiful. Maybe we were told to hide our beauty because you don't want to attract attention. You don't want to come off as you think you're better than everyone. Now, as I've been preparing for tonight's segment, I've had the opportunity to talk to different women from different backgrounds. And it was amazing for me to hear the stories that some women had received from their mothers, or things that they just had to pick up along the way that painted the image of their own outer beauty and inner beauty. And so it, like I said, it was very interesting for me to really dive into this. Some women, because they were so pretty as little girls, their mothers did not want them to grow up being stuck on themselves and using their outer beauty to manipulate and get things. So they weren't told that as much. And because of that, when you're not built up in your outer beauty and inner beauty, you can be the most gorgeous and beautiful woman in the world, but still feel like you don't measure up. Okay. So I want to talk about in regards to the relationship that your mother may have had with your beauty, with her own beauty. And like I said, if she didn't have it, she couldn't give it to you. So let me go into my little life story. So as a little girl, I'm looking at my mother, who was a very chocolate woman. She was beautiful to me. You couldn't have told me otherwise that my mother was not beautiful. But growing up in the time and the era that she grew up in, dark skin was not praised. So she always got called darky. You're too dark. You shouldn't wear these kinds of colors. Black women don't look good in pastels. Black women don't look good in bright colors. So she, for a long time, hid herself in her clothes because having that those words fed into her on a daily caused her to question her self-esteem. And so I remember her sharing that story with me. Also, one thing that really popped out to me was we were having a conversation, and I remember her saying, "Well, I know I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world." And I thought to myself, "You're beautiful to me, and why would you not think that?" Right? And so these are the impressions that we get as little girls, and we take this with us into adulthood, becoming as women, where now we're questioning our self value, our self worth, and that is not how God would have it. I want you to imagine, if you will, a garden of beautiful flowers. You walk into a garden and you see roses, you see tulips, daffodils, dandelions, hydrangeas. I mean, every kind of flower that you can imagine, right? Orchids, everything, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And a lot of times, what happens, what culture will do is instead of displaying an array of different flowers, so to speak, beauty, we only get to see one or two images. So we'll bombard you with images of just what a rose looks like or what a tulip looks like. And we'll set the standard of beauty of if you don't look like a rose or if you don't look like a tulip, well, you're not as pretty as much, and totally devalue the other flowers that are standing tall in the garden that are just as beautiful. And so I want you to think of yourself as that woman who represents beauty. You are a divine expression of God's beauty and splendor. Everything that he made was good. Everything. And culture does not get to dictate what's popping. It just doesn't. So, in regards to that, how was beauty expressed to you? Now, for me, I am a wardrobe stylist. So, a lot of times, what I have to work with and deal with is getting beyond women what they grew up with, the standard. So if they were raised to be conservative and traditional, it's kind of hard to get them into something like this because this is, oh, it's showing too much skin. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. That's too much. You may have came from an era where women didn't do this. You didn't do this. So the thought of just even having your shoulders out was like, oh no, oh no. I remember having a conversation with my spiritual mom, and so she represents that era where women didn't do this. Oh, you didn't dare go into the church house with your shoulders out. And so I remember her saying that, and so she would come into church with a shawl over her shoulders. Well, now we have evolved, and things are different. And what people didn't teach us in the old era is that you can be covered up and still have issues with lust, with manipulation, and all of these different things because it's a heart posture. It's not your clothes. Okay, I can discern when a woman is trying to use her beauty to capitalize off of things just based on how she carries herself. And so we have to begin to do away with this standard of beauty that has been put before us, because what it actually does is it keeps us boxed in, and it keeps us from evolving as women. So like I said, as a wardrobe stylist, my job is to guide a woman into evolving into the highest expression of herself, and giving her and allowing herself to give herself permission to see herself in a different light. And that's not always easy, because now I am having to come against thought processes that have exalted itself and you believing that that is the standard of your beauty. So, also, too, a lot of times, if there's been any type of self-esteem issues, any type of abuse or anything like that, we can use clothes to hide. A lot of people do not like color because color says, hey, here I am, I'm over here. If you wear something like this, something like an orange or a yellow or pink, that is saying that, hey, you see me, I'm in the room. Where women who may feel like, I don't really want to be the center of attention, I'm not really into all of that, I just kind of want to blend in, they will tend to um, wear black, wear grays, think not a lot of patterns or anything like that. So, again, as a wardrobe stylist, my goal is to push you out the box and challenge you again to see yourself in a different way. Let's talk about makeup. Okay, because, I'm so sorry. Okay, so let's talk about makeup. I'm not a makeup artist. However, I do have worked with a professional makeup artist who has helped me to take my makeup game to another level. Now, again, depending on where you come from and your tradition and standard of beauty, you may have been told, you don't need any makeup, you don't need all of that, that's too much. I've heard things like that's Jezebel, and if you're a woman that's into ministry, you need to be modest. And what's modest, and who sets the standard for modest? Because for me, you can see me in red lipstick, you can see me in hot pink lipstick. I've been known to wear purple lipstick, blue, dark teal, all of these different things. And this standard that has gone before women that says we have to hide ourselves, we have to hide our beauty, and we don't. So, again, in regards to makeup, that is a standard that may have been set for you by who you were raised by the religion that you devoted yourself to, those types of things. And so I would just invite you to expand your mind in regards to makeup, because makeup is simply just to enhance what's already there. It is not to not make you look like yourself. And a lot of women get nervous about even wearing makeup because when they see what's already out there in culture, it's a lot of gaudy makeup. And so you don't have to take that route. You can wear makeup where it simply enhances your natural beauty. All right, so I talked about the clothes part, and then dressing, but let me go a little bit deeper into that, using clothes to hide or dress provocatively. But I want to point out this, right? Because I am fascinated with this story in the Bible in regards to Queen Esther. And Esther was chosen with other women to prepare herself to go before the king. And she spent this time in preparation of adorning herself, and that would have been in the area of beauty and makeup and perfume and things like that. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with those kinds of things. It's when we use those things, again, like I mentioned earlier, to capitalize and to manipulate. Because we all know as women, we can do that. We know that we can use our clothes to be seducing, to do these kinds of things. And because sometimes you have had women that have done that, you know, sometimes religion can just simply say, well, all of it's bad. And no, all of it is not bad. It's the heart behind the matter of what's being presented before you. Okay. So, like I said, culture tends to focus more on outer beauty, but when it comes to God, He wants us to not only just, He doesn't want us to so much to focus on the outer beauty, because this thing, it fades. It really does fade. Um, you're not going to look like this forever, but what doesn't fade is your inner beauty. It's your heart. What's in your heart? Do you carry the heart of kindness, of gentleness, of love, patience, and joy? I talked about in last month's Silhouette of a Queen about the glow up. Let's glow up together. And glowing has a lot to do with your inner beauty. It is that thing that is that inner resolve, that peace within you, that confidence that when you walk into the room, people want to go, "Ooh, who is she?" You think it's the clothes, but it's the inner beauty. It's the thing that gives you. It shows God's radiance. You want to glow, and the only way that you can glow is when you begin to work on your inner beauty, when you begin to release old toxins and trauma and emotional baggage, and all of these things have an effect on your glow. It's not the makeup. People will see this, but it's not that. It's not this. It's not all of this. It is you doing the work. And as you get lighter and doing this work and shedding, we talk about this, let's glow up together, because I want us to glow up together. You want to find a community of women where you can glow up together. Hey sis, how are you doing? Let me check on you. Where are you? That's what you want to do. So your glow is what makes you radiate. It's what makes you beautiful. And I want you to not forget who you are and your capabilities, and who you are and these things, and walking into your purpose, finding out the gifts that you want to do. Some of you already know your gifts, but you may not even be actively pursuing it. Why are you not pursuing it? Why? Why? There is so much power in movement. Stagnation, you can't grow in stagnation. So our inner beauty, again, is reflecting God's image. So what are you radiating? What are you reflecting? Okay. So I want you to think about this. Here's something else I want to talk about before I close tonight. So many times you see very gorgeous and beautiful women that have it together. Their bank account is nice. They drive nice cars. They have beautiful clothes. They may or may not be in a relationship. And have you ever seen where you're like, these beautiful women just keep getting cheated on? What is that about? I'm going to tell you what that's about. What that is about is a woman who has not recognized her own inner beauty, because a lot of times we don't get fed enough in our inner beauty. We're not fed to really strengthen ourselves, to encourage ourselves. The world and people can just kind of chisel away at our self-esteem and our courage. And if we're not careful enough, we'll look up and we'll be like, how did I get here? I'm not even the woman that I used to be. And here's a very powerful exercise. I know I've done this a lot on well, I've done it once before on Silhouette of a Queen, is the power of this mirror, this good old handy dandy mirror, right? Now, of course, you can use a hand mirror, but a lot of times what I use is I just I simply go to my bathroom mirror, my bedroom mirror. And when I'm having those days where I don't feel affirmed enough, I go to that mirror and I speak to myself and I say things like, girl, listen, sometimes people are not going to understand you. You are doing something new. You're creating something that has never been seen or done before. Do you know that people are going to reject you? Do you know that people are even are going to say that's not going to work? I've never seen that before. You have to know who you are. And I speak to myself, and I speak to myself over and over and over and over. Let me tell you something also. This good old smartphone. I record affirmations in here to myself saying, so when I need that boost, that pick me up, I listen to this. I come back to my smartphone and I listen to myself speaking words of affirmations over myself because that is what builds up my inner beauty. And of course, prayer, because I cannot look to going outside of my home for anybody to affirm me. And I'm building myself up so much to the point that when you compliment me, thank you, that's great. But I can't live off of them because tomorrow you may throw sticks at me tomorrow. And so my words of affirmation simply comes from the creator who creates me. So I want to leave this question with you tonight. What images, people, or memories come to mind when you hear the word beauty? Some of you have daughters, some of you have nieces, some of you have cousins. How are you speaking into their life? How are you building them up inwardly? Because beauty, they can go out here in the world and get affirmed or not affirmed enough. But we have to find a way to be able to speak words of life into those that are around us and even to ourselves. So that's why I wanted to talk about tonight beauty standard, to be or not to be, because we're constantly bombarded with images that is telling us to be one thing, or should we be one thing? Should I nip tuck this? Should I spend money to do this? Should I do that? Or whatever the case may be. All right. So thank you for joining me tonight. However, beauty standard part 2, there is a follow-up to this segment, into this conversation. I'm going to be talking about body positivity next week, because that is a phrase that's been circulating and bouncing around in the world for the last couple of years in regards to body and image. And I want to talk about that because, in regards to body image, there is a body image that gets associated with sexuality, and you're sexy if you have an hourglass, and if you don't, like, and that's not true. So that's why I wanted to talk about outer beauty and inner beauty, so you could get an understanding, and lay the foundation for, no matter what your body shape is, that you are beautiful, and it is your inner beauty that is what's drawing and attracting, or detracting as well. Okay. All right. So if you are into this conversation, you're feeling it tonight, you can drop some comments in the comments section. Hi, Demita. Thank you for joining in and for catching Silhouette of a Queen. I'm so happy to see that you are here. But again, catch me next week, next Thursday, 7 p.m. If you have not clicked the little bell, make sure you click the little bell so you can get the notifications for when I do go live, so you won't miss any. And then also tell your friends, tell your sister friends, tell your aunts, you know how to do it. You know how we like to do when we want to tell and someone that something is really good, just think about your favorite food or something like that. All right. But again, all right. So next week, we're going to be talking about beauty standard part 2, body positivity. Again, I thank you all so much for coming in and connecting with me tonight. It has been a pleasure, and I will see you next week.